to defend it.
Bem-vindos ao canal Clips MMA. A cada luta, a cada nocaute do Alex Poatan, mais é discutido sobre ele estar entre os melhores de todos os tempos. E após ele devastar o Khalil Rountree de forma espetacular, obviamente essa conversa voltou à tona, inclusive com Chael Sonnen, que falou que ele iria perder, assumindo que ele pode ser considerado o GOAT. Vamos conferir, já se inscrevam aí no canal e bora!
He's extremely one-dimensional for a GOAT. I mean, it's just kickboxing. It's just stand-up. There's no groundwork. There's never been a takedown. There's never a defense of a submission. There's never been a submission thrown up. And he just might be the GOAT. Like, he has revolutionized the sport. Hoist Gracie showed us in 1993 how important it is to grapple. But now you have these other guys that are coming along. And I got to start that credit with Holly Holm, who came in as a pure striker. But I got to pass that to Adesanya. And now you're seeing it with Alex Pereira, right? I mean, right when you think you know everything about the sport, it changes. And you get a guy like this. What an athlete.
You know what? Chael has been known to get a little excited at times, and he is up here now saying that Alex Pereira is in the GOAT conversation. I don't know if I'm willing to go there yet, but you picked a perfect time to come in. Where do you find Alex Pereira, not only on the GOAT conversation, but also just his performance tonight?
Well, he's competing in a division that makes it almost impossible to set any sort of title defense record. But yeah, I mean, he certainly injects himself into the conversation, right? He broke Ronda Rousey's record, defended the title 3 times in a span of 175 days. He's headlined all of our biggest pay-per-views this year. And when you start to hear some of the superlatives coming out of Mark Goddard that you may have heard on broadcast about the way it sounds when this guy hits another man, he is on a different stratosphere right now. He had to dig deep tonight and showed off the championship medal as well. So yeah, high praise for the champ Poatan for sure.
You know, look, I'm not one to really stir up some drama, but we do have someone on this desk who has at times said that, you know, maybe Alex Pereira is a little bit one-dimensional. That is, of course, Antony Smith.
I said that to him not that long ago.
Yeah, I know you did.
He didn't disagree.
Yeah.
He didn't disagree at all. He understands that he is obviously much better at one thing than the rest of it. Yep. But I think that what he's done better than a lot of – here's what happens. Specialist comes in. Think of Bo Nickel, right? Sure. And the whole world tells him how great he is and how incredible he is, and he's this huge superstar in the making. But he believes it. Mm-hmm. So he's continuing to fight some people that maybe aren't on the same level as him or the rest of the division while also believing that he's the best. Alex Pereira isn't doing that. He knew that he had a hole in his game. He knew that he had some things that he needed to work on. So as much as us and everyone else in the world told him that he's great and he's the best and he's the best new thing, he was also quietly working on his game while he was having favorable matchups. He didn't fall into the trap. He was very aware of what was going on.
Yeah, what is that, by the way? I mean, when you said you talked to him, what is he doing with his game? Because it's not that guys aren't taking him down, Anthony. They're not even trying. They're not even seeing the range to come in and try to close the distance. They're not trying to underhook him, push him into the fence like, say, we saw Kayla Harrison doing tonight. Right. What is it? What is he doing that is allowing him to dominate this distance?
It's the next evolution of kind of this mixed martial arts game, and it's kind of all built around Glover Teixeira. If you can never get to a position where you can shoot a takedown, there's no reason to defend it because it never actually comes. And I go back to Jan Blachowicz. The takedown that Jan did get was very, very sloppy, and it was shot from very far away. Jan Blachowicz is kind of a freak in terms of his strength. So if he can get his hands together, he could probably take down anybody at that point. But the rest of the division, other than Magomed Ankalaev, can't wrestle like that. He's in the division at the perfect time where he can use his range, his striking, his presence, his pressure. How many times have you taken someone down when you're backing up, avoiding getting punched in the face? It's really hard to do. He's just his anti-wrestling is the next generation of anti-wrestling in our sport right now.
Well said.
I want to stay on this conversation because, John, you brought up a great point there, you know, with your post-fight talk with Anik and DC, and that is, you know, we just saw this with Sean O'Malley and Merab Dvalishvili, and then, you know, Sean failed that test, unfortunately, and we see it come up all the time. When you got a really talented striker, but he maybe hasn't fought some of the best wrestlers, we have this conversation in our world, right, about is he going to be ready? That conversation is coming up quickly for Alex Pereira. If he stays here, obviously Magomed Ankalaev is on tap. Heavyweight, you got John Jones, you've got guys like Tom Aspinall who are going to probably look to wrestle him. How big is the wrestling question still in your mind? You know, is it Conor McGregor levels where, like, we were wondering, can he get by Chad Mendes, Frankie Edgar, that kind of thing? Or do you think because of some of the things that Anthony is mentioning that it has kind of been answered at this point?
Well, the anti-grappling has been outstanding, but he hasn't fought that true wrestler. And Magomed Ankalaev, for all of his gifts, is not Merab Dvalishvili. A lot of these bantamweights were salivating at the chance to fight Sean O'Malley. light heavyweight's the right division for him. There isn't this Daniel Cormier wrestler that's walking through that door. The other thing, though, is the work ethic, and I know you referenced it. He's working in silence away from people, getting better constantly. So we'll see. But can Ankalaev chain takedowns against this guy? I'm not so sure.
Well, and that's where I want to jump in here. So, and we keep talking about Magomed Ankalaev like he's this second coming of wrestler in the division. If you take out the Jan Blachowicz fight, I can't think of the last person that he shot a takedown on. I just can't. He's done so well on his feet. He didn't even pretend to shoot a takedown on me.
Right.
And everybody takes me down.
Anthony, he identifies as a kickboxer. By the way, if you were to talk to him, we've created this wrestling thing, but he doesn't agree.
He doesn't agree. He wants to strike with Alex Pereira. He thinks that he's a better striker and can knock him out. He's never once said himself that he wants to wrestle.
Well, this is a great way to segue to our Cuervo segment of who is next, and we're going to stay with Alex Pereira. Chael, we just mentioned some. Well, I guess I mentioned some names. We got Magomed Ankalaev. Alex Pereira has mentioned moving down to 185. I don't think that was ever truly serious. And then he says that Sean Strickland, of course, is going to get that opportunity. But then we got some fights at heavyweight. Who would you like to see Alex Pereira fight next?
Yeah, so look, we got great news to lay it out. You got a #1 contender for him within his weight class, or you have an interim champion weighted at heavyweight who, by the way, is retained, is going to go through a training camp, and he's getting paid in November whether he fights or not. I'm just saying, like, there's a perfect opportunity to make that fight, and I do believe that Pereira is serious about going to 85. That's because Antony Smith and Daniel Cormier both spoke to him privately, and they both came away saying, man, he's not kidding about this. So I will tell you, the #1 contender, is great as that usually is the least enticing of these opportunities. And in fact, it's the one I want the least. I want to see him go up. I believe if he captures a belt up there, including an interim belt, we do end the conversation of GOAT. We will not talk about that anymore. We will just say Alex Pereira.
Wow.
I would like to see him stay at 205 pounds. I think there's a couple really interesting matchups there. He did say he's willing. He would go down to 185 if they wanted him to. If that was what they asked him to do, he's a company man. He would go back down there. But I told you guys all about on Friday, he's all about love and prosperity. And for whatever reason, he loves Sean Strickland.
Yeah.
And he truly doesn't want to get in his way. And he doesn't want to take an opportunity from someone who is now helping him get better. So I want to see him stay at 205. I feel like if he goes to heavyweight, there's a couple matchups up there that I believe could diminish him. And then what I don't want to happen is him to go to heavyweight, maybe takes a loss, maybe he takes two, and then that's the last thing that we remember. That's that last view of it. I would like to see him at 205. We have Alexander Rakic versus Ankalaev. I think is an incredible fight.
A fight.
I think everyone's kind of just assuming that Ankalaev's going to win. I don't think that it's that simple, but I would love to see an Alexander Rakic, Alex Pereira fight if that could ever come about.